What do you think is worse? Emotional pain or physical pain? Physical pain, like getting whacked with a stick, stings hard at first and aches for a while, though you can soothe it with various treatments like ointments, pills, casts, or sacrifices to dark gods, but generally it'll go away on its own pretty quickly. Emotional pain, like getting broken up with, similarly stings hard at first and aches for a while, but for a much, much longer while. While there is such a thing as a minor physical bruise, there really is no such thing as minor emotional pain. We feel these things as defense mechanisms for our body to inform us of a problem. Something like a light bruise doesn't need to send off alarm bells for months, it just needs you to knock it off right then and there. Emotional pain only triggers when you're really hurt, though. It always lasts so much longer and can feel so all-encompassing, which while physical pain can be too, it doesn't really quite feel so much like the sky is falling. It is the way that it is because for it to really work as a defense mechanism as intended, it's gotta ache for a long time so you actually stay away from whatever caused it. If it didn't hurt so badly, you might very well fall into the same trap that made you feel that way in the first place, and so that's why it's like this. It's not foolproof and can counterintuitively lead you to do really bad things to try to make yourself feel better, but that is evolution's theory, anyway. Managing it is hard and frankly kind of annoying. I always want to take my problems on straight away and kind of deal with them as fast as I can, but emotional pain is something that you just kind of have to suffer through. You have to sit down and process it by just feeling it for a while and letting that pain bleed. There is no pill you can take or bandage you can apply to make it heal faster, and that's why people turn to things like crystals, prayer, and the bottle. They offer a sense of security and help distract you from the problem, but you can't make it truly go away unless you actually sit and just experience it. It sucks, but it's a part of living. Most people don't, though, and that's because it's really uncomfortable, and actively sitting down to make yourself sad does not seem like a great use of your time. The alternative of just sitting and distracting yourself doesn't actively help you grow, though. It's just basically putting a pause on the issue to come back to later. That is perfectly okay. We all need time and can't confront all of our problems the moment they become an issue, but we do need to set time aside to just be sad every now and then. Sitting down and properly processing things is genuinely so freeing. You don't feel the need to police your own thoughts to make sure you don't get sad if you already processed, dealt with, and came to terms with whatever was making you sad in the first place. I felt this recently, where I sat apprehensive and was a little scared for whatever next bad memory would really pop into my head, but none came. I was okay. That makes it sound really easy, which it's not. This can be something you have to do dozens of times on just one subject of trauma, and it's never something done casually, lightly, or easily. Introspection is a skill that you have to master like any other, but doing so will let you feel much more at ease with yourself and your actions. It, more than anything else I've ever learned to start doing, will help you grow and bud as a person. I was inspired to make this because I've been going through my own draught of emotional pain recently, and it all felt very strange. There are real physical feelings that result from going through something really emotionally intense that just aren't really describable. They can range from violent chest pain to an uncomfortable throat, and there's a reason people have had to resort to metaphor to describe them for all of human history. There's really no putting it into words. You gotta experience that particular misery for yourself. Saying that it feels like a rat died in my chest and then crawled out through my throat is the best way of conveying how it felt, and that's hard to imagine unless you've also thrown up that rat at some point. Probably the most common reason for experiencing emotional pain is love, so let's talk about that for a bit. For the people that do actually experience romantic attraction, it is the most wildly violent, chaotic thing I think you can experience, short of maybe death, or trying to solo frontier defense. There are two sides to it, which is how it feels to love, and to be loved. I can't really tell you how it feels to be loved. There are definitely many people that love me in my life, from family to friends and even viewers to an extent, but it doesn't make me feel anything. This is not even remotely a brag or meant to sound cool, it's another result of trauma. My parents used "I love you" as a goodbye in every single conversation, and given that was the only way they ever expressed their affection, as a result it ended up losing its meaning and felt very hollow. This has persisted to even now, where even though I hear it a fraction of the time, it still feels off. I know I'm not the only one too, because a certain someone told me they felt the same way. What caused it for them, I couldn't tell you. As for how it feels to love, it is truly wild. After you experience how it feels to truly be in love with someone, it makes a whole lot more sense why the majority of stories ever told are about romance. It's hard to compare to. Everyone's relationship with love will be different, and even mine is non-standard, so I won't get too into it. I will give a warning though, and that's with such a chaotic maelstrom of emotion being something that half the population are told to suppress and the other half are made fun of for experiencing, it's very easy to get lost. Lost from being in touch with reality. This can manifest as anxiety most commonly, but also getting lost in dreams. When you like someone for the first time, it's really easy to slip into daydreams about what your life might look like with them years down the line. This is mostly harmless, and these trips usually last seconds if you think of them that way. Just try not to prolong your stay in the dream realm for longer than it has to be. Keep yourself grounded in reality, try not to overthink what they say or do, and take it a day at a time. Do not make up assumptions about the future and then get dismayed when they inevitably don't turn out that way. Let me give an example from something else that I've experienced, which I really thought I'd never be bringing up. A long, long while ago, I got into my first relationship. It went great. We made plans for the next couple of years, we were so excited to see them through, and then things exploded. I was in severe depression for 3 times longer than the actual relationship lasted because of how convinced I was that I'd see through the plans that I'd made, which could have been wholly prevented if I had just kept my feet planted on Earth and not gone up dreaming distant realities. Recently, when something similar to this played out again, all of the times when I was thinking about the future, it was wholly kept in the theoretical and unlikely, and so when they didn't come to fruition, I was disappointed for a few days instead of chaotically dismayed for months. It's okay to feel bad about, though. Stuff like this sucks to experience, and it's okay to feel a little bit miserable for a while. No need to beat yourself up over that. It's normal. It can be bad to take managing your expectations too far, and I'm afraid that might be what I've ended up doing entirely on accident. I don't really have many expectations for anyone. I got let down a lot growing up with a lot of broken promises, and so ended up replacing expectations with hope. It has most certainly kept me from being disappointed, but assuming you can't rely on anyone definitely seems unhealthy. Maybe this is me advocating for having trust issues, I couldn't really tell you. Replacing expectations with hope was something that I ended up doing subconsciously out of necessity to keep myself from being perpetually disappointed, and now I found myself at this weird crossroads where it definitely doesn't seem healthy, but is helping make me happier. I don't think it's something that has a quick fix. It's probably going to take a few years of consistent support with someone for that to even maybe go away, and even then it might not. That is my problem to deal with though, not yours, and so I shall work on it. I've expressed this sentiment before, but I think it bears repeating. This kind of thing is something that you can always recover from. Right now, it's such an innate part of being that I can't even really fathom where to begin with trying to change it, but I know that I'll get there eventually, and maybe even sooner than I think. Dealing with emotional pain is the same story. It might hurt a lot when it first starts, so overbearingly that it might drive you to some rather dangerous, unhealthy thoughts, but come a few days and you probably won't care anymore. The best advice I can give? If you're really emotionally down, get the fuck out of bed. That place is an emotional sinkhole. Even if you just go lie down on the floor instead, it'll be better than bed. I couldn't tell you why, that's just how it is. I find that sitting down and writing how I feel, known as journaling, is the single best tool for dealing with this kind of thing. Sometimes for me this comes out as just raw words and thoughts, other times something like poetry. If it helps you express how you're feeling, it'll help you make peace with it. You can share what you write to others if you want, like venting to friends, but just typing into a personal Discord server has also worked wonders for me for years. Stay safe, drink water regularly, don't hurt yourself, and try not to bully yourself too much. Loving yourself is a much better use of your time.